Is big land a sure win? What if it's combined with a freehold status and right smack in District 15 Katong area? You want to stay on as I give you my real insights of the project, the Continuum, using our proven 5-point analysis in the REI method. You'll be able to answer these questions. What must I look out for in terms of pricing? Is a big plot of land going to make a huge difference? Should I buy a freehold property? Is it important? Hey, Edmund here, and in this Think Property series, we want to talk about this very exciting development, the Continuum. Why? Once an Easterner, always an Easterner. So who's with me here? In this video, I will cover in details using our proven 5-point analysis to uncover how the Continuum project stands among the other projects. You want to stay throughout the video as I will also provide my views and data analysis. If you have yet to subscribe to the channel, smash the subscribe button to be updated when there are new projects in the pipeline. There are many coming up. So let's do this. Now let's take a look at this property, the Continuum, and this is actually on Thiam Siew Avenue, which is a freehold site, and it has been sold for $815 million. It's the biggest housing site since 2018 cooling measures. There are actually 2 freehold developments along Thiam Siew Avenue, and for this 2 freehold development plot, it was actually sold to a joint venture between Hoi Hub Realty and Sunway Development. It's a very fantastic location because it's sitting on 2 freehold sites, sitting between Hague Road and Tanjong Katong Road in the prime District 15 in the east. The site is actually 269,000 square feet without the road of Thiam Siew Avenue in between because that's not counted. And for this development, there's going to be a mix of 1 bedrooms all the way to 5 bedrooms even. We have a total of 816 units. And the best part is this is a very rare development where you get underground car park, basement car park, as well as 1-to-1 lot. Well, so this location is somehow very familiar to me. Why? Because my grandma stays in Hague Road. Drive past Thiam Siew Avenue, we see all these colonial bungalows out there. And I remember when I was young, I was telling my parents like, hey, one day I might want to just own one of the bungalows there so that I can stay close to grandma, right? So now that the bungalows are teared down for Continuum, perhaps we can own a piece of history in the Continuum. And what about you? So let us take a look at the location itself. For those who are Easterner, I'm sure you're very familiar with Katong area. But for those who are not familiar, let me just run through what is there inside Katong area. Close proximity to Dakota MRT, and we are about maybe 8 to 10 minutes walk to the MRT. And up north, we have the Paya LeBar MRT between 2 MRT stations, which is definitely a very attractive point for any homeowners out there and even investors. Familiar with the east like me, you will call this place as heaven. And why do I say so? Well, first let us count. First, you have PLQ. Second, you have the Singapore Post Center. Third, you have Tanjong Katong Complex. Fourth, City Plaza. Fifth, you have Kinex. 6th, Joo Chiat Complex, and number 7, I Want to Katong. Can you imagine you have 7 different shopping malls in just one location? So the question is, what does these 7 shopping centers do for you as a homeowner? Now this is very important. It has everything to do with you. Why? Because you have spoiled for choice. From grocery shopping, you want to watch night movies, everything is just within your driving distance. So where in Singapore can you get 7 shopping malls around you and all within close proximity? The very one point that is evergreen in a lot of families' decision when they are buying a property is the schools. Because the schools are also considering a very key important point for us in terms of upgrading or swapping our properties to be there. We have the school that is Kong Hwa, which is definitely 1 km within the Continuum. Alright, second, we have Broderick Secondary School. Chung Cheng High is a very popular school. Tanjong Katong Girls, Tanjong Katong Secondary School, which is side by side. So we have another less than 1 km to the Continuum, which is Tanjong Katong Primary School. It's definitely less than 1 kilometer. And of course, the other schools that is also 1 km within Thiam Siew Avenue, which is the Continuum, is Hague Girls School. You have 3 primary schools that is within 1 kilometer, which is why it makes the Continuum such an attractive property. I was doing my research, I point out that there are actually 2 factors that is actually very important to us and is unique to this project. So let me share with you more from a data perspective so that you can see what I see. I'm going to draw similar comparisons, developments around the area to be fair. Dunman View itself is a leasehold property with a land size of 71,000 square feet, and they're housing about 148 units. Why am I bringing this out? Because in the next slide, you can see that we are seeing a 2.63% average on a year-on-year basis for their growth. Even though this is a leasehold property, but because it is right smack in the center of District 15, the potential growth itself for the last 20 years has been very consistent, averaging about 2.63% on a yearly basis. Let's take a look at the next property, which is Butterworth 8, and this is a freehold property, TOP since 2001. Land size itself is about 105,000 square feet, housing about 216 units. If you can see the trends for the development, since 2001, it has grown 113%, okay? 113%, which is equivalent to about 3.67% on an annual basis. So you can see a huge difference between a leasehold property as well as a freehold property. And I will dive in a little bit more in details. Why do we see the freehold and the leasehold and comparison in a short while? You can see the comparison. Dunman View since 2005, it grows about 4.87% on an annual basis, right? Whereas for Butterworth 8, which is a freehold property since 2005, it has risen up to 6.53% on an annual basis. So what can you derive from here? Is to really spot on and see what is going on, because the freehold property is performing much better than the leasehold property in this similar location. But that is not all. Okay, that is not all. This is not what the only thing that I want to show you guys. You know, make a guess. Make a guess what is the next factor that let Butterworth 8 actually improve and increase their profits higher and faster than Dunman View. Comment below what do you think it is and make a guess out of it. So let me share with you another example. So this is called the Yazoo. Alright, this is a leasehold property since 2002 with a land size, a bigger plot land size of 265,000 square feet, housing about 612 units. So let us take a look at the trends here. As you can see that on an annual basis, it is risen about 5%, even though it's a leasehold property. So here maybe you'll be asking, hey, Edmund, a leasehold property can also increase, have the kind of profits and growth of 5%. So actually a leasehold property makes a lot more sense as well. So let me come to that later on as I share with you more data and more analysis for this property. Another example, so this is the Sea View. So the Sea View is a freehold property since 2005 with a land plot of 377,000 square feet. This property is housing 612 units. You can see that for the last period, it has actually increased and grown up to 6.18% on an annual basis. So if you start seeing this of both the Côte d'Azur as well as the Sea View, you will see one significant similarity, which is the plot size. Okay, so this is a very important factor that out of our REI method you want to take note of, because plot size is also an important factor, especially when you're in District 15. So using our 5-point analysis, the REI method, one of the key points is a big plot of land in a location plays a huge part in terms of a capital building. And second, if today your location is surrounded by a lot of freehold properties, you might want to just continue getting a freehold property in that location so that your value can be protected. Hey, wait, this just came in. Okay, we've just gotten some updates about the property. Okay, let me see. Oh, now this is very exciting, very interesting. And I'm sure many of you are dying to see how Continuum is going to be look like, right? Well, let me just take a look. Just gotten out information straight out from the oven. Now I have access to the floor plans, the layouts, what are the facilities. I have the first-hand information on the 3D images and how are they going to be presented. And for those who are interested to know, I even know what are the layouts going to be in the show flat. Okay, alright, so these are all the latest information that comes in. I also have new information updates about what are the appliances that is going to be inside this property. Those who are watching this video right now, you'll be the first exclusive to get this new information out from the oven that I'm going to present to you through my next video. So you're going to get it before anyone else, and now seeing it, I'm super excited. I'm super excited to share with you what are the details of Continuum and what does it transform to us as a homeowner as well as an investor. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, do smash the like button and subscribe to this channel so that we can give you the latest information about property as fast as we can to you. Now, let's dive into the numbers and how we look properties from our perspective. And these are all properties launched in 2019. You can see that for one Paya, when it was launched, it was about 1,409 per square foot per PPR when the developer bought this property. Leaf and MB, it was actually purchased at about $1,280 per square foot per PPR by Bukit Sembawang. Castle Mayford, which is by Gokoland, alright, this was actually purchased at $1,580 per square foot per PPR. Mayor House was transacted about $1,429 per square foot per PPR. Amber Park, which was transacted in $1,515 per square foot per PPR. As well as the Coastline was transacted at $1,536 per square foot per PPR. Right, so why is this important to know? Because for us as consumers, for us as homeowners, we also want to take a look at the history of how some of the new launches are performing, so that later on, as we compare, we are able to do a better deep dive in terms of the numbers and in terms of the analytics. So with the REI method, we are able to actually determine what's the right entry price into the property so that your exit can be predictable. So how many of you would love to actually go back in time 10 to 15 years ago and then perhaps snap up some of these units inside the east side, right? If I am you, I will go and back borrow still and get as many properties as I can. P15 is a very unique place in terms of the entire Singapore, where there's constantly demand and constantly supply that moves us up the prices. And if you can see from here, even some of the mega projects, so there are not a lot of mega projects going on in the east side. And the very big one that is recently launched was of course Amber Park, and of course in the past we have the seaside residences. So you can imagine there are only 2 mega projects that is of good size of plot land as well as the number of units to consider as a mega project. So for the Continuum that is going to come out is sitting on a big plot of land with a very good comfortable 800 over units in terms of size. This is considered another mega project that you don't want to miss, because this will be potentially the only plot of freehold land that is this big to be launched in this year. So let us move forward and let us take a look at the prices for a leasehold property in Katong. Alright, and let us take a look how it has grown over the years since 2009. It has risen from 1,100 per square foot to 2017, which is 1,700 per square feet, all the way to 2022, which is now we are seeing 2,400 per square feet. So this is of course for leasehold property. So my question to you, my friends, is today if you are paying for $2,400 per square foot for a leasehold property, how much would a freehold property be calling for? The freehold properties in District 15 Katong new launch average per square foot, we are talking about it has risen from 771 to 1,600 to even 2,400 back in 2019. What do you think is going to be the new benchmark price in the future in District 15? This is the latest information of Mayor Park M Block, and this was done actually in the February of 2023. They purchased at $1,668 per square foot per PPR. So we are estimating based on the calculating your construction cost, your marketing cost, and your break-even cost, we are estimating that it should be breaking even about $2,500 per square foot. As per all developers, all business people, they will need to have certain profits, and if we just use a marginable 20% profit into this development, we're expecting this property to be launching about $3,000 per square foot. Yes, you hear me right, $3,000 per square foot. So many of you who are in the east side and you have seen how the prices has increased, you will also be thinking that one day you will never believe that east side property will cross the $3,000 per square foot. But here is the truth, my friends. This is the real pricing that is going to come forward as we move forward into the future. So seeing how the trend of Katong freehold properties are going to be, you can see that from 2005 all the way to 2023, we're expecting the prices to be at least about $2,750 and moving forward to $3,000 per square foot in the near future. So with that in mind, if today you are able to enter and buy a freehold property that is on a huge plot of land earlier and pricing is actually more attractive, will you really want to consider whether this property is good for you to hold on because this is a freehold property? Especially for future launch, we will not be able to determine the price until the balloting day, and there are so many factors to consider at that moment, right? So who has been to such ballot day before? How do you feel? Share your thoughts in the comment. I really want to know what was your feeling during then. So what many buyers do is to do the selection of the unit first. And of course, I'm not saying that it's incorrect, but the pricing is just as important, right? If today we are going to focus just on the type of layout, the size, the floor level, what kind of facilities, there might be a chance you could be overpaying into a premium of the development. Thus, what we do for our clients during balloting day is to have the REI method ready and run through additional criteria to safeguard the entry pricing. This is done way before the balloting day, so we are prepared and ready. So let me share with you a little bit more of what I mean. To look at prices with our 5-point analysis using the REI method, determine the pricing of a project is based on these 3 factors. Number 1, your land cost. Number 2, your estimated construction cost. And number 3, your estimated break-even cost. To be able to see what kind of pricing is for the launches, you want to look at these 3 factors and why is this important. This allows us to have a benchmark in terms of pricing to determine if the type of property is within what you can afford and within your means as well. So the last thing you want to do is when you buy, you realize that you're actually priced out of the property because you have done your sums wrongly. And using these 3 factors as a guideline, we will be able to project how much the development, based on the layout, based on the size that you want to, is it within your affordability and within your reach. But the difference is, if we have a benchmark price, we will know what kind of properties we can afford based on the pricing, based on the per square foot, as well as the size of the property in terms of our financial calculations. This is a very safe approach that we encourage all our clients to undergo before they even buy a property. So let's see what determines the price. If you can see here, Thiam Siew Avenue was actually sold and awarded on 18 November 2021 for a base land price of 1,000. The various costs that's involved in terms of the property, we're talking about construction costs, land financing, the taxes, the marketing. So the estimate cost comes to about $1,696 per square foot, which means if let's say we're talking about an average break-even per square foot per PPR, we're talking about $2,296. So of course, for all developers, they have to make a profit. And we are just using a very low amount just to calculate an estimate. It will be based on 15% profit margin to come to about $2,604 per square foot. Just take note that all these prices that we're showing you are just an estimates, okay? And these are not the developer's launch price. So we have to wait for the official pricing to actually update you guys. And for those who are interested in this project, you can want to get in touch with us so that we are able to update you as soon as we have the latest information. The estimate 15% margin, we are estimating it will be about maybe $2,640 per square foot. And let's just do a kind of projection based on the different type of size and the different type of properties in the Continuum, then how much are they going to cost. So these are all based on estimates and they are not directly from the developer. Right, so this is where we will do our homework. Right, so if you can see the 1 bedroom, let's say if it's about 500 square feet unit at about $2,800 per square foot, we're talking about $1.4 million for that 1 bedroom unit. And for the 2 bedroom unit at 700 square feet, we're talking about $2,700 per square foot. It will come to about $1.9 million. So this gives you a certain benchmark in terms of your affordability and whether a 1 or 2 bedroom is what you want to go for. For those who are actually looking into staying and you may want to buy a bigger unit, you may want to consider the average pricing about the 3 bedroom, which is 1,100 square feet unit at $2,600 per square foot would already come to about 2.9 million. And for those bigger families, you require the 4 bedroom type, you want to look at it at a $2,500 per square foot for 1,300 square feet will come to about 3.3 million. It's very important to actually give yourself a benchmark in terms of prices first. Later on, we will dive into the 4th checklist to determine the pricing benchmark as well. And let us take a look at the surrounding prices. So usually what we always do, once we get the prices of this property, all right, we will also want to first start off is to look at the surrounding resale property to determine a few factors. So some of the parameters we use when we are doing the comparison, number 1, you want to look at the age of the property. You never want to compare a very old property with a very new property because the property age is a huge difference. So as much as we can, we want to level the playing field to make sure that both properties are almost the same age in terms of comparison. The second is you also want to compare a freehold to a freehold. If you compare a freehold to a leasehold, there will definitely be discrepancy in terms of your data and numbers. Number 3, your plot size do matters. So you never want to consider to compare your plot size to a very tiny one that is out there because your data numbers will not be accurate at the same time. Number 4, the number of units in the development will play a huge part when you're doing comparison. So as much as you can, you want to find similar number of units that can be compared so that you can get more accurate data and numbers during your research. So number 5 is very, very important. So when you're doing comparison, for example, for the Continuum, you want to look within D15 itself and start comparing the properties nearby. You never want to compare prices over, let's say, for example, in District 28 or even District 19, right? That will be an inaccurate comparison as well. So with these 5 points, this will give us a more accurate research as well as data points for us to consider whether this property is ideal for us or not. So I have a video that I have done before that I show you how we do comparison in terms of properties, and they are somewhere in the channel. So if you have not subscribed to the channel, this is your best time to do so that you can follow through us to learn more about properties in your property journey. So let us take a look at some of the resale property prices, because this is one of the factors that we use in our REI method with our 5-point analysis. If you can see for this property is 1 Amber, was completed since 2010 with 562 units. And although this property is a freehold property, just take note, why are we taking this as a comparison? Because this number of units is one of the factors that we can use. Although it's a little bit older, but we can still use this as a guideline when we are doing our different research. You can see that the average per square foot based on the average prices is about $2,000 per square foot. So actually back in the days when 2010 was around, you will never expect that property prices can go up to $2,000 per square foot inside the east side. But here you are definitely seeing it becoming a norm, especially in such a prime location in Singapore. So next we will do a comparison with the Amber 45. Okay, Amber 45 is completed about 2020, so this is one of the youngest property around, although it has only about 139 units. But you can see that the per square foot here is already calling at least $2,600 plus per square foot on an average. So this gives you a good pricing benchmark to understand whether is this the right pricing for you to buy a freehold plot with a bigger land size. How does your pricing stands out? Now still constructing, and they are going to TOP very, very soon with a total of 592 units. You can see that the average pricing already went up to $2,700 per square foot, and this property is not TOP yet. So can you imagine when it TOPs and when they are in the sub-sale or resale market, how much will the sellers be calling for? Would it be at least a $200 or even $300 per square foot premium based on their location? Next, we will also compare the property at Coastline, which is also along Amber Road. You can see here the average per square foot is already at least $2,800 per square foot. Right, there's one very important data that I really want to share with you guys, and this one, as you can see for all the previous examples, we are using all the freehold comparisons to give you a justification like, okay, what is the average prices like in the east side of the condominiums? So I want to share with you this other data, which is seaside residences. So why did I pull out this data? Because just understand, for seaside residences, this is a leasehold property. So as you can see that the per square foot unit is already at least $2,600 per square foot. And this is a leasehold property, my friend. Very big plot of land, and they have 841 units. So which is why I said in the initial first few points is that for D15 area, if you are able to actually buy into a large plot size and a freehold property, you will have a similar effect of how Seaview is like. And Seaview is just a leasehold property. Can you imagine if you're having the same number of units, bigger plot land size, and you're able to achieve a better result than the Seaview because you are a freehold property? How will that do for your property, even if you're looking for own stay or for investment? Once we piece up this entire information, you can have a very good sense that, hey, today, based on the previous launches, based on the new prices, as well as the future TOP prices in the future, there's a lot of upside of Continuum, but depending on how much they're going to launch. So we're looking at all this as a benchmark prices, so that when we go into the balloting time, that is what we always do for our clients, is we will have a certain benchmark prices already calculated. We know if a certain project, once it reaches a certain price tag that is above a certain premium, we may not even want to go ahead with it. But for Continuum, I am very sure the developers will be pricing this very attractively, because this is a very rare gem. And they want to move their units so that more heartlanders, homeowners will be able to enjoy the east side in terms of the environment, in terms of the schools, in terms of the location. Once an Easterner, always an Easterner. Next, once we have done the research and comparing the resale properties around the area, we also want to take a look at the newer future launches. How are they going to be? So let us just take a look at this. Of course, you already know that for the Continuum, it's about 816 units. Their break-even price for per PPR is about 2002. And just now we did highlight, if let's say with a 15% margin, we're looking at maybe about $2,006 to even $2,008 per square foot, depending on the size of the properties. Next in line will be the other property called Tembusu Grand. This is a leasehold property. Their break-even is already at $2,059 per square foot. They have lesser units, about 638 units. So not only that, we will have the third, one of the also bigger plot of land called Diamond Grand, which is going to be launched also in future. But all these are leasehold properties. And for Diamond Grand being a leasehold property, it is already going in terms of their break-even 2,120. Of course, this is also considered a mega project because it has 1,000 units in a smaller plot of land size. Give and take, because Diamond Grand is so near to the MRT, perhaps that's where the premium loading is from the developers to the consumers. Tembusu, there's not only just going to be one plot, there's going to be plot 2 that's going to come out, which is also going to house at least 825 units. So all in all, you can see why do we want to compare some of all these surrounding property prices, because the east side has not have much land available for developers to purchase or GLS for developers to purchase. All right, so that's why with this new up and coming now total number of units, about 3,319, is going to create a very huge buzz in terms of the east side. And if you do a comparison between the freehold and the leasehold, you can see that 75.4% of the units are leasehold properties, and only 24.6% are the freehold properties. So my question to you is, if there's a limited supply of freehold properties, what will usually happen to price? Let me say again, if there's a limited number of freehold properties there, what will happen to your price? All right, so with limited supply, we always know prices will always eventually go up. And that is why that is your protection in terms of a value, that you can hold on to this property even for a longer period. You do not need to worry that, hey, I need to sell my property within the 15 years mark or even 20 years mark. You can perpetually hold on to this freehold property and pass it on to your future generations. So in summary, the 5-point analysis that I shared with you in the REI method, entering early with your first mover advantage will always be well supported by future increase of prices, as what you have seen. So of course, with freehold land that is limited, it will also drive the demand as well for the prices to increase. So my take on the Continuum is that because of its rare big plot of land and its a freehold status in District 15, it's hard to come by another such developments. To benchmark the launch price is to have all the data and numbers in place, so during your balloting day, you know how to execute them safely. Also, there is a saying, once an Easterner, always an Easterner. So you will not be surprised to see many home buyers who are actually used to the East and will jump into this property as well. But is it ideal for you? Since everyone's situation and property plans are very different, it will still be safer to run through a proper assessment to decide your next property move. And as promised, I will share in my next video what I just received fresh from the oven to help you make a better decision in your property journey. So reach out if you have any questions about this development, and we have a team of consultants to further advise you personally. I'll see you in the next video.